It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard. You liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out, and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us.
Oh, yeah.
No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
Hey, we are all the way live right here at WHPR 160 Victor Street. And thank you all so much for tuning in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. My name is Theo Broden, co-founder of Hood Research, and co-host
The BD, and we welcome you to the program.
And I want to say thank you to all of those of you who helped to sponsor this program. And for those of you who are considering sponsorships, please make your check or money order out to Hood Research. Or if you prefer, you can make it out to WHPR Broadcasting. We have no objection to that. We just ask that you mail it to Hood Research at P.O. Box 4416, P.O. Box 4416, Detroit, Michigan 48204. Again, Detroit, Michigan 48204. Hood Research has a website, hoodresearch.org. We have a email, which is contact@hoodresearch.org. Contact@hoodresearch.org. We have Facebook and all the bells and whistles. So at your leisure, log on to hoodresearch.org. I want to say a good morning to Barbara and Vera. I want to say good morning to Sam. Good morning to Carla and Calvin and Jay way over on the east side. Good morning to Dee Dee. So glad you're feeling wonderful. And I want to say good morning to Tom and who else? Just so many people I'm trying to think of. Paul and Carl. And I'm sure there's some that I'm thinking.
Brother Sam Black.
Oh yeah. I put Sam Black in there, and to Rosa, and to Barbara also, and all of those of you who watch us on a weekly basis. And this morning we want you to be sure and call in, because I'm sure that you had some things going on over the weekend. Would you want to shout out?
Say a good morning to Sister Frida Washington, Sister Sheila Ragland, Jackie, both Jackies, Brother Shane, Brother Smith Bay, also Brother Fred. And I'd like to say a happy birthday to Nancy Pelosi and to Diana Ross, Detroit's own.
Same day.
All right.
Oh, my goodness.
And ask you if you have family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, to have them tune in and have pencil and paper ready for information you may want to jot down.
All right. And with that, we want to let you know that we have a guest with us this morning. He's right here from HR Legal. Oh, you get a jump on the information. And that's none other than Hassan Aleem. His program comes on each Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
All right. There are a number of issues that have been taking place over the weekend, articles and conversations and shows that have talked about and touched on the illegality of the bankruptcy, the takeover of many of our assets. And they tell us this cute little statement, well, you still own. What good does it make for you to own something, but you don't make any kind of profit from it? What's the latest?
Well, you know, the latest is that Flint water is back in the news.
Uh-oh.
So now they're going to put somebody in jail over the
Oh.
fraud, the illegal taxing of the people's water and taking over the water facility. When they switched to Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
from Detroit, that was illegal. And
Mm-hmm.
they said they had the power as emergency managers, but they didn't have any power as emergency manager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was the hoodwink. And most of the politicians went along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Never read the law, never read Public Act 436.
You know
So-
what? One of the things we need to encourage people to do, anytime you have an opportunity to speak to any candidate running for any office, ask the candidate if they have a research team, a research person, if they're even concerned about research. Do they do their own research? Because it seems to me that it would be to their benefit prior to voting to know as much about the issue as they can possibly know, right?
Right. Well, one thing they need to do is two things. Once they find their way to the bathroom, then they need to find their way down the hall to that analysis division that the state has. The state has a research team or division, and it tells each legislature, they print it out what the bill does, the pros and cons. So there's no reason they shouldn't know except they don't want to read anything.
Well, I do know that, but I just have my suspicions about who's in the analysis division. That because who hires them, right?
I
Who can
believe they're state
ease
employees.
yeah, which means they're under the governor, right? And we've been
Probably.
under
Under
this
the state
conservative
legislature.
say, hey, for quite a long time now. And there are a number of Republicans who are masquerading as Democrats. So when you have that plus an analysis division that might be laced with more of the same,
Okay.
you know, you still got to put your own, effort into this. That's my opinion.
They sure do.
Mm-hmm.
But you would think they could read a little bit. You know, they always put it on the citizens that the citizens can't read and are illiterate. But it seems like we have an abundance of state legislators that can't read or are illiterate, or they just won't read.
It's not in their interest to read, really, if they're not there to serve the people and serve the position that they're put in, mainly to maintain whatever the status quo is and to develop whatever personal relationships, it seems to me, that will forward whatever their agenda is, but not necessarily the agenda of the people. So reading becomes a secondary or moot point for them.
Moot point, huh? That's why here now I have a copy of Public Act 436 here
Okay.
on page 12. In parentheses, a small n, consolidate, say they talk about the emergency manager's assumption and exercise of authority and then some of the things they can do. Says consolidate or eliminate departments of local governments or transfer functions from one department to another and appoint, supervise, and at his or her discretion remove administrators, including heads of departments other than elected officials.
Oh.
It
So-
says here that they can move department heads other than elected officials.
So,
Now they can Google, go on the computer, and check that out. Just push in page 436, go to page 12.
Now, that elected officials will refer to council members.
Council members, mayors, township supervisors, but they didn't go to another. They just went to the city councilmen and some of those county commissioners when they up in Ben Harbor.
Oh,
went up
yeah, we
there,
went up there.
And
Right,
they
right.
removed the people and they wouldn't read the law.
Right.
So their lawyers that they had, those, wouldn't tell them the truth.
Now, with you saying that, does that mean that, like, okay, you say department heads and other people, so that really disrupts the continuity of whatever's going on, I would think, right?
It disrupts it, absolutely. But they couldn't remove the elected officials. And that's what we've always heard. They did some of that. Because, what was his name? Joe Harris, the Auditor General, when he was made, emergency manager.
Right.
He
Right.
removed some folks up there in Benton Harbor, and I think
mhm.
somebody removed something up in Flint, and they was scaring everybody.
Right.
And it's
And,
crazy.
and the other thing that was kind of interesting, that's Jesse Jackson was in Benton Harbor when we were there.
True. He was
And
there.
I was wondering what kind of meetings he had with the elected officials. And was he giving them advice on what they should do? See, we never heard a lot of that.
He might have been
No.
telling them they got to fight. You know, you
Mhm.
got to stand up to the folks. But
Mhm.
mainly, all of this stuff that we have come to find out was nothing but lies, con games
Mhm.
from our elected officials that were just scared to death to stand up. That's all I can see. Because they should have told them to go fly a kite. You know,
And it's sad. You know, that sounds a little conflicting too, to talk about being able to switch around heads of departments, but the heads of departments are appointed by the mayor, and you can't remove the mayor, but you're removing the power of the mayor.
well,
I don't know
I'm just pointing out some as you have pointed. You're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You see that there are discrepancies
Mm-hmm.
in the law, which the whole law should have been thrown out.
Right.
But nobody talks about the Michigan Constitution. When they say, well, we went to court, we argued about the law. You know, those lawyers are double agents. Plain and simple, I refer to them as double agents.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on both sides, and mainly the other side, even though you paid them. Even though you gave them your money, they're working for the other side. Maybe they gave them twice as much money we gave them. You know,
Whoa, yeah.
they gave them something, especially in
Double
that bankruptcy.
paycheck.
Because here in the city, not the city, the Michigan Constitution,
Mm-hmm.
it says that talks about the charters. Under general laws, those are the laws, when they say general law, those are the laws that were passed by the state legislature. The elector of each city and village shall have the power and authority to frame and adopt and amend its charter, and to amend an existing charter or village, charter of a city or village heretofore granted or enacted by the legislature for the government of the city or village. Now, what that means, they got a key phrase here. You can adopt and amend charters that were heretofore granted by the legislature for the government of the city. The legislature in the past wrote the charters for the city of Detroit, Grand Rapids, Highland Park, Wayne County, all over, up until 1908 when it was changed in the 1908 Constitution, which gave the people the power. So the governor cannot change our charter. It's in the Constitution. They used to do it, but they no longer do it. They cannot. We can change the charters. The people can change the charters that were heretofore granted by the legislature and the governor.
Okay.
So that high school civics. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was wondering when you say they can change it. Now, when the people change it, that's just by vote, correct?
They have to
Okay.
vote on the change
Okay.
in the charter.
Okay.
Who initiates the whatever the changes are? In other words, who presents the idea to whatever legislative body is responsible for at least even getting it on the ballot?
The legislative body would be
The council.
be the city council in Detroit, or it'd be the county commissioners in Wayne County wanted to change their charter.
Yeah, because we in was it 2000? Was it 12? We
Well, it was-
were told that our charter was going to be open when actually it was supposed to be open this year.
Right. That was all that was done illegal, but that's how they got away with stuff.
Right.
They
right.
went to charters illegally. This is the first year that the question charters. They went to districts. This is the first year the district should have been on the question, should be on the ballot.
Right. We got to call.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
Good morning, Slice Soul, Sly Gold.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're really in trouble because Hassan, as you have stated, if our so-called elected officials do not know their own rights and their their rights to protect themselves as well as their constituents, we're in big trouble. Because if this constant violation of our charter, of our constitutions, so therefore, either like Theo was saying, most of them are wolves in sheep clothing. So they really don't have our interests at heart anyway. They bought, control souls, and trick baby, self-serving, and self-hating coons, and they control to do whatever the oppressor tells them to do. They take orders from somebody else. Remember when they supposedly had a gag order? How you put a gag order on something that has a lot to do with all our lives?
Public information, a gag order.
Yeah. So that further tells me that most of them are sheep's, wolves in sheep's clothing, and they're just bought and controlled souls. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I cut off just gonna say.
Go ahead.
Would you say the sheep's and wolf clothes?
Yeah.
The wolf in the sheep clothes.
Well, every now and then.
And here's
We
another.
get a wolf.
The problem we're having is not so much. It's not the leader. If we understand what our rights are in the Michigan Constitution, then they won't even attempt to pull those tricks on us. But they say, oh, they don't know. And so it's both groups don't know. The leader, if you want to be honest about it, they don't know. We have too many of them come to hood research meetings, and we get to question them. They be bagging up, running out the room, and they don't have the answer. We ask them about the Constitution, cite it, show them the Constitution, read from them, and they don't have one in their pocket. They don't say, wait, let me go to the car. So when they go to the car, they don't come back.
Like a pop quiz.
Yeah.
But we asked them, why are they allowing this to take place? Why they won't stand up in the House or the Senate and go on the record and make a statement on what the law is? Why are they going along with it?
Now, is that, would you think in part that lobbyists and other special interest groups put so much pressure on them, and certainly the citizenship, the electorate doesn't do that, so they more in line or in step with whatever special interest groups or other entities might present to them, and so ignorance for them is bliss.
But that's a nice, pleasant thought. They don't have a clue. And for some reason, if you're one of the brothers, they go around, that's when they're giving out money and paycheck. They don't give anything to them. They just sitting up there happy to get that paycheck.
Happy to be in the room.
Happy to be in the room. Because look at all look, they had a committee. Governor Snyder, Gangster Snyder, he set up a committee for education. So at those committee meetings, they eat, drink, and be merry.
Just glad to be a part of the set.
Just glad to be there.
Now, I wanted to ask you, since you mentioned Flint, I know that there was supposed to be some people prosecuted from the DEQ as well as Darnell Early. Has any of that come up yet?
Not really. I think the trial is supposed to start a couple of months from now.
Okay.
But the thing is that Andrea, what is his name? Andrew Arena told the Senate Appropriations Committee on the general government on Thursday, speaking about the 2014 switching of Flint water supply that exposed the residents to lead contamination. He said, I believe greed drove this. And he's a former FBI Detroit office, head of the director of the FBI office, who led the Flint criminal investigation for the Attorney General Bill Schuette for over 2 years now. So they're opening up a new phase on fraud. We believe that the series of bad decisions was a pretty substantial financial fraud. That's what it was all the time.
Right. And we talked about it, too.
We have talked about it many a times on your show, on our show. And we had Mays, Councilman Mays from Flint. He called in. And Richard Harris' show had the lady up there, Melissa. She was calling in all the time. So we've discussed Flint and the fraud and the money and how they're taxing them to death up there. They're paying twice for the same. They're making the people of Flint pay for that water system, not Genesee County. But then Genesee County pays some, but the Flint paid the most because the Flint residents have to pay for it, and they pay for it again as county residents up in Genesee. And guess what? They still get the blended water. What blended water? The water from the Flint River. So how's they gonna still be
still
exposed
getting
to lead?
lead.
Hey, they don't care.
Now, are there? I know we speak of, and I have less knowledge of this, so I ask a question. Okay, we have here in Detroit, like the corporate council. Now, does the corporate council, or let me put it another way, is there a legal entity that's supposed to represent the interests of the people for whatever city, community, township, etc.?
Now you talking about on the water?
Well, just on issues that may violate constitutions
Well,
or
that would-
charters and stuff.
That would be the city of Flint
Okay. So,
and the county of Genesee.
So-
Those elected people, and they got
have lawyers.
county
lawyers,
commissioners.
right?
And they have a lawyer there, Weaver. She's got attorneys working for her, city attorneys.
So now they should be aware of whatever the Constitution or charters say, and then because like what you were saying earlier, how many of the legislators just don't really know what's going on. They're just there for show. So shouldn't the lawyers know, and then at that point proceed with some type of legal process to say, okay, you're violating section this, article that?
We expect them to say that, but I haven't heard one say that.
Okay.
They'll say our constitutional rights to vote were violated. And I would say that's hogwash. You went and voted for the marijuana. And see, nobody can deny that. They voted, they broke the door down, voting for the marijuana ordinance for the city of Detroit, right or wrong?
Right.
Okay. And they broke the door down, voting for this right mayor from Livonia. It sounded like white, but they said it was right all the time, right? But we know what they were saying. They broke the door down to vote for a write-in candidate. How do we let people get up in our face and say, well, they took our right to vote? I can't tell. When did you stop voting? Now, if you don't want to vote, that was up to you.
When did they take
Good
your
point.
right? Right.
We got a caller. Hello, caller. You on the air? Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
I'm sorry, I called /song Comcast 91. But I wanted to add that I did read something about the so-called Supreme Court said that the Flint can sue about the water issue, but then I turn around and read again that the lead has increased. Okay, that's all I want to say.
The lead has increased.
Increased. The lead level has increased. So, it's just what I call population control. They decide who lives and who dies. Thank you for taking my call.
Wow. Now, before you go on, I also have to say good morning to some other people. And it's good morning to Diane and to Ron and Katrina and Les. And did I leave somebody out? Try not to
All
leave
those people
everybody out.
you know.
Yes. Good morning to Claire. Yes.
All those people you know, you're going to leave somebody out.
I don't know.
Hey,
not on
that's
purpose.
why I'm
I
going
don't
to just
mean
say
to.
good morning, apartheid Detroit. I got everybody, apartheid Detroit.
Oh, me. Okay. So, hopefully, based on what we just heard, then maybe their attorney would catch on and start checking in the fact that the lead has increased. We're told we got lead in the water around here. And in 1994, there was a report that the city of Detroit was going to start using sodium phosphate in the water in Detroit for the purpose of reducing the lead content. Now, the problem that I have is the fact that it's sodium, but anyway, the magnesium phosphate, I talked to a scientist, was saying that would have been a better product to reduce the lead. He further said that it's more expensive than the other, and that might be why the mayor decided it. However, he said you use less, so it would balance out. But do you think there was concern about the health of the people in Detroit? Well, anyway. So go ahead. You were saying.
Well, you know, the Flint water, when they said it was down, that was always suspect because the same people that said there was no problem with the lead were still in charge. You know, it was DEQ, Department of DEQ Water, and they were saying, and they were giving individuals say, "Oh, you take your own sample," not like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They didn't send any chemists around. So how are they getting a correct reading, a legitimate reading? And then, you know, that, what was his name, Harry Edwards, whatever that professor was from Virginia Tech, when he got that grant, he switched sides overnight. You know, it's all about the money. So they gave him some money, he switched, but he's still there. And, you know, only a little time will tell. But what happened, which is going to take the time to show when they clear up, is the fact that they didn't put that corrosion control in the water.
Right.
So all this stuff is just floating around until they get some new pipes, and then you still don't know if that's going to work. Without the, but here's
So that the house is being
but you know,
repiped too.
here's something that the lawyer in Flint should be doing, and that's getting a copy of those permits that DEQ, that Department of Environmental Quality, gave to General Motors and DuPont a permit to dump all this carcinogenic waste in the Flint River. Now they got the permit when nobody drinking the water, or
Well, not
just
only
after.
that, they had separate water service for their buildings too.
Okay, right.
General Motors did.
Right, but I'm saying they're not bringing out the fact that the permit lists the carcinogenic substance that we should not be drinking, humans shouldn't be drinking in the water. And so for them to say we didn't know it was there, hell, they gave them a permit. And nobody talks about that. You know, all of this stuff, I would think that the federal government is supposed to be investigating them. They got an ongoing parallel investigation along with Flint, and Flint don't want to look, Shooty don't want to look bad, and the federal government is going to overturn all this stuff. So they got to keep up with them and say, oh, look what we uncovered. Well, it's been there all the time.
You know, I'm wondering if someone, like, just say I'm a Flint resident, can take, especially with what Sly Soul just said, take water, you know, maybe they can get together collectively and say, we're going to take this down to Wayne State, Michigan State, wherever, and do an analysis of the water to show that, you know, nothing has been done or has actually gotten worse. Because obviously we can't count on the people in the DEQ, maybe even Flint representatives, etc., to do anything. But if the quality is changed, it seemed like they could still do something to prove that, you know, because I think, who was it, Dr. Mona Attar or Attar or something like that, came in and, you know, pretty much exposed what was going on. But now there's, you know, there's this deafening silence. So it seems to me that somebody should still be able to present water quality, take it to, you know, get a gallon of water, whatever it takes, take it to one of the public or state institutions that are independent of the state. I didn't mean to say state institute, and have an analysis done and say, okay, we're even in worse situation. I don't know why wouldn't that be happening?
Well, you know, people don't see it as, it doesn't get you immediate. It doesn't affect the kids. Well, I think it is an immediate effect on the children, though. But on the adults, but even on a child, you know, it slows them down. What do they say? The brain, the cognitive ability, and all of that. So it slows them down, and those effects linger for years. And most, you know, if something like that hits you all of a sudden, you're not aware of it. And people don't have that money for that. But they got all. I don't know how many services they have, but they say they have a lot of them. Now, whether they're still funded, you know, President Obama put a lot of those health services in Flint. People may not be aware of it. Just like when he put the money in Detroit so people can save their homes, and the former mayor say, well, we don't want you in your home, so we're gonna take that money and put it in demolition. They just did all that stuff illegal, so maybe they're doing the same thing in Flint. But that's the people up there ought to be sensitive to those facts, to call their relative that they have in Flint and tell them about it. Hey, why are you checking on this? What are you doing? And the churches don't have nothing to do in this around Easter. They ought to be doing something on Good Friday. Go up there and help the folk besides begging for money and rolling Easter eggs. That's crazy.
Now, does anybody know whether they're still providing bottled water or what the circumstances are just for the residents in general?
Well, it's always been a big fight between Snyder wants you to come get the water. He wants the elderly people to come get the water, the babies, and the judge has ordered him to provide the water to the residents. So publicly, we don't know. It's not published in the paper. Is he living up to what the judge ordered him to do? He just says, well, I ain't going to do it. We out of water. He won't do it. What do the state police care? All them racists on the police look like they'd be happy just to take some water. They don't have to. But now all of a sudden, though, is what you say is it's coon hunting time. They're glad to be out in the car shooting at people, right?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that I think about, and just as a side note, when you say that the man that was shot at 20 times, Stephen Clark,
Isn't that something?
somebody said they thought he had a gun, somebody said they thought he had a crowbar. In any case, he had nothing that warranted his death. So again, like what you're saying, Hassan, yeah, it just seems like it may be that kind of coon hunting time. Now, one of the things I'm wondering about as well, now, to allow the lead to continue or even increase in the water means that if the children are developmentally, because I think it affects you neurologically as well, that they become dependents of the state in a sense because they have to have special care. Obviously they can't learn in school on the same level because their cognitive abilities have been functioning. So it seems like that costs the state even more than correcting the matter.
Well, they're going to just, like in Detroit, where are the facilities now? Detroit had the largest experts in the state.
Yep.
They shut them down. They don't care about if you're blind or you handicapped or you have a hearing disability.
Those 3 schools.
These people, you never seen, they think they got a bunch of slaves around there. For money, they don't care who they kill.
We got another caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Would you share your name and how you viewing us, please?
Good morning. Great show. Great show. This is Dee Dee. I'm looking at you on my mobile device.
All right.
Wow, Theo, you got 2 hands from me and 1 on each side.
That's right.
All right.
When you first started off the show, you were talking about, do we have any assets left, the city of Detroit? The parking is gone. Joe Lewis is gone. Everything is, do we have anything left?
Well, the assets that we have are not generating money for the city of Detroit. They're controlled by authorities. When I ever hear that word, boy, really beware. An authority is a private group of people who control our public tax dollars for their personal friends. Right?
That's right.
Yep.
No.
Belle still belongs to us, but what difference does it make? We don't control it. When they took it over, they had an account, according to a council member, of $6 million. Okay? And there was all of this media coverage about how bad Belle Isle looked. Well, why didn't they spend the $6 million to make it more appealing? So there seems to me that there was some collaboration to make the city look as if it was impoverished. The DIA is now being run by an authority. And when it was appraised, the assets were undervalued. See, the DIA probably had enough assets to cover the whole city of Detroit. Plenty of assets. But now, all of a sudden, to get you to vote for the authority, well, during the last vote for it, was to say, the children are going to be able to come for free. Are any children from Detroit Public School going to the DIA? I would hope so. However, that was a trick to get people to vote for it. But we own it. Somebody else gets the money.
But you know, we can get control of it and the ownership and the money back because it's all fraud.
Hmm.
It was all fraud. And they never, here's another section of the Constitution. She asked that, this is section, Article 7, Section 28. And I'm going to just read down here where it says that share the costs. They can have joint administration of any of the functions or powers which each would have the power to perform separately. We're talking about cities, school districts, and all that stuff, counties. That they can have the power to perform separately. Transfer functions or responsibilities to one another or any combination thereof upon the consent of each unit involved. The state can get our consent. They want to say, we're going to force you to sign over Bill I. We're going to take it from you anyway if you don't take our offer. That's not what the Constitution says. So nobody is reading the Constitution. And the governor and everybody said, well, we're going to do what we want to do. They can't read. They won't read. The mayor won't read. But the mayor, Livonia Mike, is lined up with the governor. He was there. The email said that we got from Robert Davis, they put it in the newspaper, said that Mike Duggan said you need a black emergency manager. So he's always been for emergency manager to take over the city of Detroit by the governor. So just because he's a so-called Democrat, he's in bed with the governor. He helped with this tearing down and take over the city of Detroit, and then he walks around with a few people that he giving them a chicken sandwich that they act like he wasn't there and it never happened. He act like, I didn't have any responsibility in the EEA schools, the failure of those schools. He was their secretary-treasurer, handling the money.
And borrowed $12 million from DBS.
Can I change subject for one hot second?
Please do.
Last week, Theo, on your show, you were talking about a management company coming into the Detroit public schools to manage the athletes. Have you guys got any more information on that?
No, there hasn't been any additional information let out yet. But as soon as I hear some, I'll be glad to share it with you. And
Okay.
that's not a good idea, really, is it? How are you going to have one company manage all of the schools when the schools play against each other? That, well, anyway, as soon as I get some additional, I will share it.
Thank you for a great show. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. We also had some information we wanted to talk to, because this hour goes by too fast for me. Is there was some information on the front page of yesterday's paper about the insurance or progress of insurance?
They were talking about even though Ohio's rates are cheaper, they don't get as the insurance coverage isn't as good as it is in Michigan. Well, if you're paying $10,000 for insurance, I mean, woo-wee. You know what I'm saying?
It's supposed to be.
But it should be our choice. So that's another thing. We just keep getting gouged, just beat down, turned into criminals, or you didn't pay. You know what do they owe? $10,000. Some people owe $10,000 in driver's responsibility fee, and they only gonna cut out half of it. You still got to come up with $5,000 and make payments and all this crazy stuff.
It's supposed to end October 1st.
Yeah.
It's supposed to end October 1st.
For some people, that's gonna end. That part is gonna end, but the money's still out there that they only giving some people. Some of it they get off. I haven't read it to see all the distinctions. They got like 2 or 3 classes. This group, all their money is off. The next group, well, you got to pay some of yours, and if you weren't before this, you still got to pay all your money.
Oh no!
So,
we need to talk to some elected officials about that. Yes.
Now, when you say groups, certain ones will and won't, is that like based on age or location or what?
The
City
dates.
City Detroit.
I would say, what they said in the paper was the dates. If you know, let's say 20 years or 10 years, it's been around about 15, 20 years now. It's in the grand home. So what they did is say, well, if you were back so far, that's a cutoff date. You're never going to pay that, so we're just going to wipe the slate clean for you.
Mm.
And so other people that are kind of stuck there where you might get a 40 or 30% reduction. And if you were there before the law changed, well, you still got to pay your money. So it's that kind of thing, which is going to affect a lot of Detroit. It's going to affect a lot of people, but the fact that they have dropped the law, which Democrats ain't never opened their mouth about, they were the ones that put the law in. Let's see, where did they get that crazy idea from, how it was going to help people, and all it helped was the state. All it helped was them rob us of our money. And these are the kind of people we've been sending to Lansing. They didn't fight against it. They felt it was good. Well, you know the law, you should get insurance. Says who? That was when they came up with this no-fault insurance plan, it sound good. Now, when we look at it, who is it good for but the insurance companies?
You're right, because only about 8 or 9 people in the city of Detroit, the whole city of Detroit,
benefit from that catastrophic insurance.
Right.
So, I mean, come on.
Thousands of people.
You can get that on your own insurance plan
Yeah.
that you're paying for anyway. If you know what, people are not looking at it. We're paying $5,000 to $6,000 a year in coverage. So most of the adults are paying that money because you don't want to go through the hassle. Senior citizens pay it. If you got a job, you got to pay it just to get back and forth to work. Right? So at the end of 5 years, you didn't pay the insurance. Not 5, 10 years. 10 years you have gave the insurance company $50,000. They never lowered your rate.
And you never get
Can
it
you
back.
believe that? We don't think about how much money we giving away, and they say, "Oh,
Lord,
that's
the
great."
cost of another car.
Car, you can get a house $50,000 in Detroit. You can buy one to fix up and still got $25,000 to put in your
Left
pocket.
over, huh?
Hey, look. So, but these are our state legislatures. Well, you need to pay insurance. No, you need to get you another job. We need to get rid of these crazy people. And they, believe it or not, they funded the state of Michigan's budget with poor people in Detroit and all these places where they were writing tickets just to be writing them, and we didn't realize it. Now, look at it. They write all kind of traffic tickets. Forget about somebody breaking in your house. They write all kind of traffic tickets so they can get this money for the state because they figure you're not going to pay it. Well, we know you're not going to pay it. You ain't got a job or you don't have the money.
Right.
But wait,
Right?
now stop. We also have to insert in here that tickets are discretionary. Officers who are writing tickets, those tickets are discretionary, which means they don't have to write the ticket. They can just give you a warning. They don't have to write the ticket.
But look what the paper said. A 360% increase in overtime. So what those police officers did was write you a ticket so they could make overtime.
Going to court.
And they schedule it on their day off. Not on their regular work day, but on their day off so they could make the extra
Their
money. So they going to give you a ticket for nothing.
Therefore, we have police commission meetings on a weekly basis, every Thursday, unless it's Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Well, they
something
can
like
read the
that.
paper, can't they?
And right.
I saw
But
it.
they can go and complain at those
Well, they
meetings.
should,
need
but
to.
you know what? Most people just give up. They say, what is it going to do?
Right.
Waste
You know,
of
you got to
time.
get a group to go down there, but they say, what good is it? Well, you want to keep your $50,000. Think about it. If we drop no fault insurance, you will put $25,000 to $30,000 in your pocket over 10 years. This Trump talking about, well, you got $1,000. This tax cut is $1,000. If we get rid of no fault, you're going to put $50,000 in your pocket over 10 years. $5,000 the first year. That beat Trump's $1,000, don't it? So what? And we sit here like, what? I never thought of like that. What do you mean? Yeah, you don't know how much money they beating you for.
You know, they're happy to get crumbs. And other people getting 6, 7 figures, and they happy to get a few crumbs.
What we need to do is put a petition drive on the ballot. Go back to when we didn't have mandatory insurance. People don't realize that. It depends on because in the past you just went and got your license. You didn't have to buy insurance.
Right.
That was not mandatory.
Right.
So we don't need any mandatory auto insurance.
Right.
With the jobs being, are they plentiful? As scarce as they are, with the pay being as low as it is, you need to put some money in your pocket with getting rid of no-fault insurance.
Right. And with only 8 or 9 people in the whole city who have benefited from it, what good is it?
Hey,
You know?
it's a con game. They've been working this over a long time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's take the caller.
Hello, caller. You're on the
What
air.
time is it?
Would you give us your name and how you're viewing us, please?
Oh, man.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Your name?
my
Hello.
name's Mike.
Thanks for calling, Mike.
All right, yeah, listen. They didn't send me an insurance bill. They canceled me. When I did get back with them, after I realized they canceled me, they doubled my rate.
Whoa.
I get on the phone and call some other insurance companies. My phone started ringing with other insurance companies calling me, offering me the same rate that they going to double me to. This sounds to me like it's RICO, like that stuff they caught Kwame up in. Bid rigging, price fixing. It's illegal. It should be illegal. It's a crime the way they're ripping us off.
Wow.
I haven't had a ticket in 20-some years.
Wow.
No accidents. I don't go nowhere but to the doctor in Kroger, and I got to pay I think it's like $250 a month just to drive there through these potholes. They robbing us. They robbing us.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're scared to give us a break or make it right because the way I'm looking at it, they owe us some money. They've been ripping us off for a long time.
I agree with that.
I started driving, I forget what year, but I remember back when I first started out around 73 insuring cars. You go down there and you give them $50 for the uninsured motorist fund and you good for the year. You know, then I buy a new car, go get insurance, full coverage. You know you want that, but they're just reaming us, man.
Yeah.
You know, you could buy your dream house with what you're paying insurance for.
Yeah. That's
true. Yeah, I gotta go calm down. Thanks, y'all, for
all right.
this.
Well, thank you for calling and join us on the second Saturday of April. The Hood Research meets at the Dabo Center on Grand River and Wyoming at 2:00, and we need to talk about ways to address this automobile insurance. And we will do it at
over there
that meeting.
at Reverend Center over there.
The Dabo
Reverend Sheffield, yes.
Yeah, Dabo Center, right. It's on the corner of Wyoming and Grand River, 2:00, the second Saturday of each month. And the second Saturday of April is going to be the 10th.
This second Saturday coming up to do insurance?
This Saturday is the first Saturday, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, well, the
Yeah.
second Saturday coming up.
Right. Oh, right. Okay, it'll be the 10th. It'll be the 10th of April because this Saturday is the last Saturday in March.
Right, okay. I'm not looking at the calendar, but yeah, just.
I got you.
And I'm so tired that every time you look around, they bamboozling us again or something, you know?
Well, these are the kind of things we want to make people aware of and how we can address them, how we can work together to solve those issues.
Yeah, you know, and then they tack that other $20 on well, that's a little bit different, but tacking that $20 on your license plate fee to drive around Belle Isle.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, that.
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
I
they're
know.
killing me. You know. Yeah. All right, well, thanks, y'all. Good show. Have a good day now.
Thanks
Thanks.
for calling.
I got a question.
Huh? Oh,
I just
okay.
want to pose to both of you. Now, you said earlier, Theo, about how they had discretionary thing, and I remember back in the day they would say, "Okay, well, look, I'm gonna let you off with a warning." There was no push to make tickets.
Right.
So I want to know if either one of you think there's like maybe a correlation with the population drop in Michigan from like a couple of million down to I guess 700,000-800,000 that we got now, and the fact that you don't have the same money coming in terms of the tax base. So now it becomes more important to not tax, but give tickets to people, so that way you can still increase whatever. Although you're not going to offset, the population decline, but maybe you help to increase the coffers of the city council to be able to do whatever services or whatever rip-off they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think every fee adds up. A quarter here, a quarter there, and a quarter there. Then you got $1. They did not give quotas to the officers, but they claim they don't give quotas now. I am suspect of that.
State trooper said recently, within a year's time from now, that he was actually ordered to give tickets, and it's a Caucasian state trooper, and he said they were supposedly supposed to single out minorities as the ones that they would give tickets. This was an interview that was on the news, like I say, within the last year.
Right.
Well,
They've always gave quotas.
That's some racist moves there.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. They've always.
Right.
But Detroit is no different than Ferguson. Ferguson, we look. Oh man, isn't that awful what they did in Ferguson? They charged those people all of those. Use the cars and their license, stopped them, and they turn around, and they had a driver's responsibility law there, but they don't call it that.
Right.
They're doing it in all of the suburbs now. When you get pulled over for driving, and they want you to go to a class that's $25.
Yeah.
And they want or $50. I'm just saying
Yeah.
25. It might be $50.
Yeah.
And then they want you to go here and take this other training class. And you might, if you had any weed, well, we don't want to get you for that. We just want to make sure you go to this class to make sure
And
you
it
can
costs-
drive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's how
then
they get in their money
You're
now.
right. And they said, we won't put any points on your record,
Right.
but
Take the class, give us
it's
this
going to
money.
cost you X
Right.
amount to do
Right,
that.
that's what they do. Now,
Right.
on the thing with the Detroit police, they're getting the overtime. So how much money does the city realize on the traffic tickets? Councilwoman Jones, all of the council members, how much money does the city get on those traffic tickets when the paper said, or when the the mayor said they had to put in some extra money for the overtime, for the cost of the
And
police?
he claimed he's going to hire more officers.
And they need to
You
get
didn't say what
that.
year.
Don't they have an inspector general or somebody to
Yeah.
audit all that stuff?
We have an auditor general.
Oh
who
my
works for the
goodness!
city of Detroit.
And what is he doing? Nothing, sitting around there washing cars or something. I
We
mean,
had to find
well, he
out.
got paid, but he just counting the cars, go through the car wash down
Hey,
there.
well, we need to go to the city council meetings. They do have one in the evening, and that may be the one that many want to attend because the meetings that take place on Tuesday morning, Council of a Whole, in the 2 Woodward Avenue, Comedale Municipal Center, and parking is a challenge.
$20. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Well, you might have to walk 3 blocks for 7
where
or
it's
something.
less, right?
Yeah, well, now it's getting a little better. But who wants to be out there? The streets supposed to be safe downtown at night, though, right?
So they say.
Supposedly.
Well, they're not in the meetings in the evening, which is once a month,
Well, okay.
are held in other locations, sometimes at Recreation Center, the one on Myers, Northwest Activity Center, sometimes in a church facility, and you have an opportunity to go there at 7 p.m. So you can pose these questions to them,
Well, what is the mayor doing about this? It's all in the paper.
Well, listen now. The mayor has his own city council. They're called district managers and assistant district managers. There are 15 of them. We got 7 districts, times 2 is 14, and 1 who's supposed to be in charge. And they go out throughout their district, just like city council members are supposed to do. They're responsible for each district. However, the district managers, who are city council members for the mayor, okay, and cheerleaders, by the way. They go throughout the district and they field questions, come up with answers, and they help in all of this. So, the mayor sent you out here to do this and help us? Yes, he did,
Well, he's
ma'am.
okay with that illegal overtime, huh?
Huh?
He's
what?
okay with that illegal overtime they get. You know, they just put four police officers in jail, was that last year, 2 years ago, for the overtime.
Well,
They
people
was-
need to start
they
asking
huh?
questions.
That's
Ask
illegal.
questions.
What they're
Hey,
doing is illegal. They got
I-
locked up. They were sentenced to prison
I got you. Well,
for the
now-
overtime.
I know. We are down, unfortunately, to our last minute. And Hassan says, we don't know where the time goes, but the time is gone, you know. But anyway, I got to make this announcement. Which is one for the senior activities over at the Dabo Center.
You got it in your hand, don't you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Paul Pugh Senior Program. It's every Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The program is free for ages 55 and older. Weekly activities include, and let me get my glasses here, Zumba with Ivy Mitchell, outings and movies, Hustle with Fast Freddy, healthcare screening, games, and more. You can contact them at area code 313-491-0003, or you can go to the website, which is www.dabodetroitinc.com. Again, that's www.dabodetroitinc.com. And the phone number again is 313-491-0003, which is the Paul Pugh Senior Program, which is every Monday through Thursday.
And it's located at the Dabo Center, which is on the corner of Grand River at Wyoming. The address is 12048 Grand River. You know, I'm telling you, this hour is just crazy. But I like to say at the end of our show, it's not necessary for you to know everything. But what is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. We encourage you to join Hood Research because we seek out as much information as we can to share to help us all make better informed decisions.
If you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you're finished. And make sure you register to vote for the 2018 midterm elections.
That's right. And also I want to thank Hassan Alim for being with us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
And your show will be tomorrow morning, Tuesday at 9 a.m. right here at WHPR. 91 Comcast comes on Roku, internet, phones, and all kind of apps. But thanks again for tuning in.